is out for blood right now, and she's not stopping until she gets revenge on everyone. She's going after Akademiks, and even Akademiks employees or people around Akademiks, going after Aiden Ross, who was friends with Akademiks. She might be going after Drake next. So in our last video on this situation, we covered how Akademiks did a subpoena. Now, during that subpoena, DJ Akademiks recorded everything and leaked it to the public. And we've seen him asking Akademiks how he got certain information, why he's saying certain things about Megan Thee Stallion, why he believes Megan Thee Stallion is a liar. This time around, we thought that saga was over with, right? No. DJ Akademiks just announced that Megan Thee Stallion just did a legal maneuver where they're now demanding or requiring, because the judge already approved it, that Akademiks come and sit for a second deposition.
If y'all watch some of the clips I even posted about the deposition, the lawyer of Megan Thee Stallion decided to argue with me about my opinion, if I believe Meg, rather than even asking me questions. Nevertheless, they filed a what's called a motion to compel, right? So there was a question that they asked me. They said, hey, Akademiks, you tweeted out at one point that break-in, Tory Lanez DNA was not found on the weapon. We want to know, how did you get that information? Now, that information, if it were valid, would be only known by three parties: the judge, prosecution in LA, and Tory Lanez's defense team. Now, remember I said if it was accurate. Now, everyone and their mama made it clear to say, hey, that's not accurate. Even Tory Lanez's lawyer said that, which means when I tweeted it out, because I tweeted it before the day of the day in court even started, it was pointed out Akademiks didn't tweet out the right information.
Yeah. They're talking about this tweet right here. Now, this was tweeted out February of 2022. Tory Lanez didn't start trial until December, but there was a couple of hearings going on. Now, apparently, there was no media personnel in court.
Now, I just need y'all to take 1 second. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. It's your boy, What's Up G, back with another banger. It's looking like Roc Nation is officially trying to destroy DJ Akademiks. Let's see what's really going on with this one, because that's crazy, though.
It was actually only Megan Thee Stallion's team, Tory Lanez's team, and the judge. So when Akademiks tweeted this out, breaking, it was revealed in court a few moments ago that Tory Lanez's DNA was not found on the weapon in the Megan Thee Stallion case. Well, Megan Thee Stallion and her team believes that Tory Lanez fed Akademiks this information. If you've been following this, though, you're probably asking, why is this important? She's not suing DJ Akademiks. DJ Akademiks isn't being sued by Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion is suing Milagro. Milagro is alleged to have received money from Tory Lanez in exchange to spread or to defame Megan Thee Stallion. That's what Megan Thee Stallion's argument is. So why is she bringing up Akademiks, Aiden Ross, Drake? Because she's trying to prove there's essentially a RICO conspiracy against her. She's trying to prove that the forces that be, rather it's Tory Lanez, it's Drake, rather it's Stake, that there is a cahoot. There is a group of people who have an invested interest to slander her, and they're being paid, which is why she keeps bringing up DJ Akademiks in court, Aiden Ross, Stake, right, Grand Wizard, is because of that. And but again, they're not being sued, so why is it important? Because if she could prove, yo, Tory Lanez fed Akademiks this information. Yo, Tory Lanez fed Aiden Ross this information. Yo, Akademiks, Aiden Ross, Grand Wizard, they're being paid to slander me. If she could prove that, then it makes her job a little easier to prove that Milagro received money from Tory Lanez in exchange to slander her. This is why this is important. But a lot of people, right, who are, I guess, familiar with the law, they've been saying, hold on, this is just not about this Milagro. It sounds like Megan Thee Stallion is using this Milagro stuff to get these depositions to then set up a legal trap to probably potentially sue Akademiks or sue Aiden Ross or sue Grand Wizard. Okay? Right. This is what the long-term play is.
Megan Thee Stallion's lawyers, aka Roc Nation lawyers, they are trying to say, I got the information from a credible source. Now, today in court, and I'll tell you exactly what happened in court. It's going to come out in the minutes anyway, right? Or the transcript. So today in court, they were trying to say that in their conspiracy theory that Milagro defamed Meg, Milagro claimed she had the same source as me, and if they could force me to reveal the source of my tweet, they could prove the conspiracy, and they believe that source is Tory. So if I say Tory, they're going to now say, well, you said your source was him. Tory may have sent you money. Okay. they're going into cuckoo land. Now, let me tell you a few things that did happen in court, and I'll tell you what the order was in terms of the motion. The judge, number one, scolded the defense, or not defense, but the plaintiff, I guess the plaintiff's counsel, which is Quinn Emanuel's representative. I won't say her name, but scolded them because he went over the deposition. He was also confused why the hell they were asking me about everything else but the relevant things. He was very confused. He literally said, I read most of this stuff. You guys asked Akademiks a bunch of things that doesn't on face value, or maybe you could substantiate, has anything to do with Meg Thee Stallion or even the case you got in Florida. Okay? Okay, that's number one. Number two was the issue of the question they asked me. The question was, who gave you the information that you tweeted? Now, I got to be honest with y'all, chat, and I really want to be clear. I don't got Alzheimer's, but y'all do know this Don Julio. If to my memory.
Right now, Akademiks understands legally he don't want to give these people nothing at all, not even an inch. But if, let's say, there was no threat, there was no veiled threat of Akademiks potentially being sued, and this was just Akademiks just holding it down, I would tell Akademiks, don't hold it down. Because think about it, right? Like, an artist giving information to a publication or to bloggers, there's nothing wrong with that, per se. Megan Thee Stallion and Roc Nation, they feed the blogs too. Van Lathan said that like a Roc Nation person now called TMZ to run a negative story on Colin Kaepernick. So artists feeding information to the media or paying the blog.
But I do hear what you're saying, Flacco. But I actually don't low-key agree with you.
To post certain things, that's normal. It becomes flagrant if the information is false. And I've seen Tory Lanez and I've seen other people say as of recent that Tory Lanez DNA was not found on that gun. So if that's the case, then there's nothing wrong with Tory Lanez saying, yo, here's the report, my DNA was never found on the gun reported. It only becomes flagrant and foul if it's not true. And if I'm Akademiks, if Tory Lanez and his team fed me wrong information, bruh, we not homies then, right? If you will feed me wrong information to manipulate me or manipulate my audience, then we not cool, right? Then you put me in harm's way. Bro, yo, he told me. He told me. So if the information is true, then come out and say, man, bro, yeah, Tory told me, but it's facts, right? If it's not true, action bomb on Tory for putting him in harm's way, right? Because what you're doing, if you my mans, you won't feed him to the dogs like that.
Now, during the deposition, as a matter of fact answer, I said, I'm unwilling to divulge it. As the combative lawyer got pissed off over time, because I could tell she was so heated. I'm just sitting there. As she got pissed off over time and tried to bring the issue back up, she asked me if I was trying to use at least what's called in New Jersey. There's a shield law for people who are journalists that would prevent legally them to be forced to give up sources to information they disseminate. Now, during the deposition, I actually even said, because I could tell this chick is fuming. It's 7 hours. And I'm over here tap dancing on them. I'm over here giving them the works. You feel me? Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, Meg. I don't know if you spend $100,000 on that, but I was giving all 7 of them the work. So eventually, when I realized they paused the deposition, they said, yo, we're gonna go get a judge right now. We gotta get this answer out of you. I say, you know what? I'm not gonna use the shield law anymore. As a matter of fact, I'll answer. My answer is, who gave me the information? I don't recall. And I don't. That's the reality of it. So today in federal court, And by the way, I didn't have to appear, but you know, I appeared for one reason, and the judge gave me some assurance. And by the way, shout out to Judge Brendan Day, salute to my guy, good magistrate out of New Jersey federal court. He said Meg's lawyers were trying to say that what we do here can't qualify as journalism. So laws that protect journalists can never apply to us. The judge basically, after questioning her and essentially Meg for a decent period of time, they then reduced their stance to say, no, that's not what we're saying or asking. We're not saying that academics cannot get protected by laws that protect journalists, especially, and I told the judge, because the judge asked me, and I stood up, I represent myself. He said, are you trying to enforce the shield law? I said, well, in the deposition, I said, I'm not even going to use this shield law. I'll give you an answer, which is I don't recall. But the reason why I'm even showing up here to even challenge this motion is because if she gets a blanket win on the shield law, it means for future cases where someone...
I stand corrected. I was wrong. If this is Akademiks' reasoning, he's 100% correct. Legal precedent is very important. We seen with this Diddy case. When it was about to determine whether Diddy was going to do 20 years in prison or 2 months, what they say? Go find legal precedents for Mann Act convictions similar to Diddy's, and we're going to factor that in at our sentencing, right? Now, the judge went completely left, as people would expect, but yeah, legal precedent is very important. So I can say, yo, if Roc Nation and Megan Thee Stallion can do this, right? If they can violate the rights of journalists, if they can violate the rights of, like, again, constitutionally protect the rights for journalists, right, to receive information under confidentiality and not have to disclose it. If they can violate this, then then there's no hope for anybody else coming after me. So shout out to Act, man. Nah, that's noble, bro. Like, I rock with that, bro. Like that's noble. This next part is really concerning to me. So Akademiks will release a phone call between the private investigator that Megan Thee Stallion hired and one of his employees. Now, Akademiks hires a bunch of people, or not even hires, like he kind of partners with them to run the Akademiks TV, because they run it. Act just kind of oversees it because it's his brand. And like Akademiks TV has a lot of people posting for it, including some of Akademiks fans who are minors. According to Akademiks, the private investigators hired by Megan Thee Stallion is contacting minors and trying to like talk to them or trying to gather information from them without like their parents being there or on the phone to kind of like mediate. Now, Akademiks will release a phone call between one of the people that works for Akademiks TV and a private investigator for Megan Thee Stallion. Now, Act didn't reveal whether or not this person specifically they were talking to was a minor, but he did say minors were contacted at some point.
You have a right not to incriminate yourself. You know, you have a right to an attorney. If you want to hang up, it's not.
And by the way, this is whack. You little $2 private investigators, don't try to read Miranda rights to my niggas, bro. Don't read, like, you can't arrest nothing. Meg, we gonna go to 1 million hearings and we gonna bleed your pockets dry. That's why I show up without a lawyer. You ain't got nothing against me. And if you do, we'll go at that route too. Y'all keep paying lawyers $1 million every 2 months for a bunch of bullshit to investigate. Some of these people y'all are calling are children. They're 16-year-old who this is their first job, which is might be to click a button. They don't know what's going on. Good job. Keep spending y'all attorney money. Keep having people y'all are staking out of minors' houses because they like a particular artist and they might be endearing to the chat niggas. Keep doing that. But y'all are spending real hard. This is not cheap. This minute they were on a flight over 12 hours to go get to this person. Keep doing that.
What Megan Thee Stallion and her lawyers are doing is sick. Like, that's sick, bro. Why are you stalking people? Why are you going and waiting out of people's houses to have conversations with them when they aren't being sued? Now, I do disagree with Ack when he says, they're going to bleed their pockets. They're not. Roc Nation is a $1 billion company. This is not going to put a dent in their overall budget at all, bro. Like when Roc Nation was trying...
Roc Nation's pockets, Flacco. It might not bleed Roc Nation's pockets, to keep it a bean, but if you pay attention, it's going to end up bleeding Megan Thee Stallion's pockets, because everything, just like any other label, remember when like a lot of labels started, like we started knowing like everything that the label does for the artist, they got to pay it back. So these are millions of dollars in legal fees that she owes. She is never going to get off Roc Nation. She's gonna be stuck to Roc Nation for the rest of her life, messing around. Let's finish this, y'all. Crazy.
Pouring millions of dollars just for the sake of, bro. They was pouring millions of dollars just to get people to come on board with their plans to get this casino. Like, they don't care about like the measly millions they're spending on this case. And I also don't even think this is entirely about Megan Thee Stallion. I think Roc Nation has a deeper point to prove here. If you've looked at the landscape of hip hop ever since this Drake and Kendrick beef, it's been split down the middle. Usually, you could tell what side of the aisle they're on, rather Drake or Kendrick, based on their values and their beliefs or who they like and dislike. And it's safe to say that the people who are skeptical of Roc Nation, the people who are anti-Roc Nation, the people who got distrust for Roc Nation, who has an invested interest in exposing Roc Nation, they're usually on the Drake side of the fence. Hip hop has been split up like Democrats and Republicans, bro. All right, everything is political now in hip hop, and it's been split right down the middle, Team Drake or Team Kendrick, which I think it shouldn't be like that. It's dumb. But Roc Nation, I believe, is hiding behind the veil of this Megan Thee Stallion lawsuit to essentially go after the people they believe are responsible for spreading propaganda about Roc Nation, or who they believe is responsible for attacking Roc Nation or Roc Nation personnels. Because right now, if like the fans find out an artist is Roc Nation, it's like a like for example, like Cardi B. Cardi B ain't Roc Nation, but she has some dealing with Roc Nation. When that was discovered, she got a train of hatred. There's an automatic distrust for Roc Nation, and they're trying to figure out where the source is coming from. And they probably blame Akademiks or Akademiks TV, and they're just going after people they believe is responsible. This is not all about Megan Thee Stallion, and I hope people really look at this and take this seriously.
Well, no, it's not all about Roc Nation. It's not all about Megan Thee Stallion. But at the same time, I can see why they would have a vested interest in trying to muzzle, because they really just want DJ Akademiks to shut up. They try and take DJ Akademiks' free speech. I ain't the biggest DJ Akademiks fan, but I don't mind him getting on the computer and saying his truth. And a lot of times it be the truth about Roc Nation. I don't trust anything about Roc Nation, honestly. And that's my opinion. I don't have to trust you. You can't sue me for that. I don't trust you. Everything about you just seems like a lie. Or like you're snitching on somebody, or you're claiming like you're down for the culture, but you're being around all snitches, or you're just like taking advantage of black people, and you've been doing it for the last 20 or 30 years. Yeah, honestly, I don't like anything about Roc Nation. I'm gonna be all the way honest. But that doesn't mean that I don't think they should be in hip hop doing their thing. You get what I'm saying? Which I don't even want to say that, because the way that they got it set up between Roc Nation and Live Nation, that's all one conglomerate, y'all. So what happened with Roc Nation and Live Nation? Roc Nation taking up all the artists, and Live Nation is they have all the major venues in the U.S. So what happens is either you gonna sign to Roc Nation and funnel to Live Nation, or you just ain't gonna eat out here. And everybody that's having problems with tours, NBA YoungBoy at one point, Rod Wave, it's because of that Roc Nation, Live Nation situation where you gotta either like pay them and deal with them, or you just ain't going on tour how you want to go on tour. That's their venue, which is crazy, which is a monopoly. All right, that's the problem. If you want to know the real problem, that's the problem. All right, so it's your boy, What's Up, G? Or allegedly, I don't know if it's a monopoly or not. It just seems very monopoly-ish. All right, so it's your boy, What's Up, G? If anybody said they love y'all, I love y'all. Back with another banger. You know, I'm gonna keep it a bean on this channel. We ain't gonna lie about nothing. Anybody tell you they love y'all, I love y'all. Drop it in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about this Roc Nation trying to silence somebody again. And it's funny, every lawsuit, every time they in court, it's always a situation that comes out where they were trying to silence somebody. Like at the beginning of the Megan Thee Stallion Tory Lanez situation, they were calling him, trying to silence him. In court, they tried to silence him. They actually did silence his main witness. Everything, they're always trying to silence somebody, or, you know, just nasty. All right, I'm out, y'all.